Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Zara, and the moment my husband opened his mouth at that baby shower, my entire world collapsed like a house of cards. Are you serious right now, Ryan? I shouted, slamming the car door so hard that a woman on the sidewalk jumped. You had one job. One. Why would you say that in front of everyone? He rolled his eyes like I was the problem, like I was overreacting. It just slipped, okay? Calm down. Calm down? My voice cracked, and I felt my face flush, heat crawling up my neck like fire ants. You told everyone that you were at the ultrasound appointment? Do you not understand what you just did? That wasn't supposed to be public knowledge, Ryan. You weren't even invited. You said you were out with Dan. You. He cut me off with a scoff, brushing past me toward the house. God, you're being dramatic. It's not that deep. And that's when I lost it. Right there in front of our driveway, with neighbors probably peeking through their curtains, I charged after him. Not that deep? Do you hear yourself? Do you realize how suspicious you sounded when you said that? You weren't supposed to be there. So why were you at Mia's OBGYN appointment? You're not family. You're not her anything. Ryan stopped. His hand hovered over the door handle, and for a split second, he didn't say a word. Just stiffened. That's when I knew. He turned around slowly, his eyes narrower now, colder. I was just trying to be supportive. You know how stressed she is, her boyfriend's in and out, she doesn't have her family close, and everyone looks to her like she's supposed to be perfect. Right, I snapped. And you just happened to be the one man who showed up for her. Not her boyfriend. Not her brother. You. He took a step closer. What exactly are you accusing me of, Zara? My hands were trembling. My heart beat so loud I could barely hear myself. But I said it anyway. I'm accusing you of lying. And maybe something worse. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Just stared at me like he was weighing his options. Then he laughed, bitterly, dryly, and walked inside. I followed him in, slamming the door behind me. Don't walk away from me. You ruined the entire baby shower. The memory replayed over and over in my head like a bad movie. There we were, surrounded by pink balloons, smiling guests, and neatly wrapped presents. Mia had just cut the cake, her face glowing. I was taking a group photo when Ryan, holding a glass of sparkling cider, leaned in toward her and said too loudly, "I'm glad I made it to your last ultrasound." That heartbeat, man, it really hit me. Everything stopped. I felt my stomach drop like a brick tossed from a rooftop. People stared. Someone dropped a plastic fork. Mia froze, her smile slipping, eyes darting between me and Ryan like she'd just witnessed a bomb going off. And now, as I stood in our kitchen watching him pour himself a drink like nothing had happened, I couldn't help but whisper. You couldn't even lie well. He didn't look at me. I already told you, it was nothing. You're blowing it out of proportion. I walked up and snatched the glass from his hand, hurling it into the sink. It shattered. Nothing? She's 6 months pregnant, Ryan. She just had her 3rd ultrasound. And I wasn't even aware you knew when it was. You lied to me, and now I have to ask myself, why would you lie about seeing another woman's baby on a screen? He spun around. Because I knew you'd react like this. Exactly like this. You're paranoid, Zara. You always have been. You act like I can't have a female friend without being accused of cheating. My voice dropped, but the venom in it was sharper than ever. She's not just some friend. She's Mia. My friend. The one who cried on my shoulder when her ex dumped her. The one who told me she felt safe at my house. You think I haven't noticed the way she looks at you when she thinks I'm not watching? Ryan clenched his fists. Don't do this. No, you did this. I cried. You embarrassed me. You humiliated her. You made everyone uncomfortable. And now I have to sit here and wonder if the man I married is hiding a secret child. Silence. Just the ticking clock on the wall and my own breath, coming in short, angry bursts. Then he said it. You want the truth? His voice was low, dangerous. Fine. I'll tell you something. I was there at the appointment because she asked me to be there. And I didn't say no. You know why? Because I care. Because someone had to show up for her. I stared at him, blinking away tears. But you didn't tell me, I whispered. You didn't ask me if I was okay with it. You didn't even think I deserved to know. He didn't answer. And in that awful, echoing silence, I realized something even worse than betrayal. He didn't regret it. He regretted getting caught. So I turned to leave, my hands shaking on the doorknob. He called after me, "Where are you going?" I paused only for a second. To find out whose baby that really is. I drove like my hands weren't even mine. Knuckles white on the steering wheel, eyes locked straight ahead, heart pounding with a rhythm that didn't feel human. I didn't know what I was going to say when I got there. I didn't care. I just knew one thing. I was going to look Mia in the eye, and I was going to make her say it. When I pulled up to her townhouse, the porch light was still on. That soft, welcoming glow she always kept on for guests. The same one I used to find comforting, when I thought she was my friend. When I still believed that the way she smiled at me wasn't laced with guilt. I didn't knock. I banged. 3 sharp hits. And then her voice, muffled from inside, "Coming." The door opened, and there she was, belly round, eyes wide, holding a throw blanket around her shoulders. Her face instantly tensed when she saw me. Like she knew. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. "Zara," she breathed. What are you doing here?" I pushed past her before she could finish the sentence. Don't act innocent. I'm not here for pleasantries, Mia. I want answers. Now. She closed the door slowly behind me, her movements hesitant. "Zara, it's late. Can we sit down and talk like adults?" I turned on her so fast, she flinched. Talk like adults? Is that what you call sneaking around with my husband behind my back? You want to talk about being an adult? Her eyes welled up immediately. Good. I wanted her to feel every ounce of what I'd been holding back for months. You said he just slipped, right? I hissed. Well, now you can slip too. Slip the truth out, right here, right now. Did Ryan cheat on me with you? Mia's hand flew to her stomach like she was trying to protect the baby from my rage. Her bottom lip trembled. Zara, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. That was all I needed to hear. I lunged forward, pointing my finger so close to her face I could see her blinking rapidly. So it did happen. You happened. The appointments, the late-night texts, the way he always took your side over mine. You weren't just crying on my shoulder, were you? You were sleeping with my husband. She broke down. I didn't plan it, she sobbed. It was one time. Just once. He was there for me when everything fell apart. I was scared, and he was kind, and I was lonely. I never meant to hurt you. Oh, you didn't mean to hurt me? I laughed, bitter and broken. So what were you doing? Being kind? Was this some kind of sisterhood betrayal package deal? I welcomed you into my house. I defended you when people gossiped. I threw you a baby shower. And you repaid me by stabbing me in the spine with the father of your child? Her eyes widened. I never said the baby was his. I took a slow step forward, my voice dropping to a whisper. You never said it wasn't either. She opened her mouth to speak, but I didn't give her the chance. Tell me right now. Is that Ryan's baby? Silence. Then, in the softest, smallest voice I've ever heard her use, she nodded. My world went dark. Not black, dark. Like a tunnel swallowing everything. How far along are you? I asked quietly. 27 weeks. I did the math. That was just under 7 months. I remembered exactly where Ryan had been 7 months ago. On a guy's trip with Dan. The one where he came back smelling like perfume and said they'd ended up at some random club. The one where he brought me back a keychain and a t-shirt, but couldn't look me in the eye for 2 days. I nodded slowly. Right. Makes sense now. You didn't need me to throw you that shower. You just needed time to make sure I stayed stupid. Zara, please. No, I turned toward the door. You don't get to beg. You don't get to plead. You don't get to act like the victim here. I lost a marriage. I lost trust. And worst of all, I lost myself, defending the two of you like a fool. Before I could leave, she grabbed my wrist. Please don't tell him I told you. He doesn't know I planned to keep the baby. He said we'd pretend it was someone else's, that no one needed to know. I jerked my arm away like her touch burned me. You're already raising this child on a lie. You both are. But guess what? I won't lie. I won't hide. I'm going to burn the whole thing down if I have to, because I deserve better. And so does that baby. Then I walked out, slamming the door behind me, this time with clarity. It wasn't just betrayal. It was war. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat at the edge of the bed, watching the window slowly shift from black to gray. Watching the world turn while mine had already collapsed. By the time the sun fully rose, I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't even shaking. I was quiet. Calm. But not numb. I was ready. When Ryan walked through the door at 8:47 a.m., carrying coffee in one hand and a smug little bakery bag in the other, he smiled like nothing had happened. Morning, babe, he said, like the house wasn't full of silence and betrayal. I grabbed your favorite. The cinnamon one you. Sit down. His smile froze. What's going on? Sit down, Ryan. He obeyed, slowly, cautiously, setting the coffee down like he was trying not to wake a sleeping lion. I stood in front of him, arms crossed. I didn't bother hiding the fact that my eyes were bloodshot. I wanted him to see it. I went to Mia's last night. His body went still. The color in his face drained in real time. He opened his mouth, closed it. Tried again. I don't know what she told you, but... Don't insult me, I cut in. She told me everything. The guy's trip wasn't just drinks and poker, was it? It was you, in her bed, while I sat here wondering why you stopped texting me goodnight. He buried his face in his hands. Zara. I didn't plan for that to happen. It was one mistake. It didn't mean anything. I laughed. That horrible kind of laugh that sounds more like choking. You call getting someone pregnant a mistake? I leaned in, voice shaking with fury. Let me guess, you told her it was just once. You told her it didn't mean anything. You told her you still loved me. Didn't you? I do love you, he whispered. No, you don't. You loved the idea of me. The comfort. The image. But you didn't love me. Because if you did, you would have walked away from temptation. You would have come home and confessed. But instead, you lied. You kept lying. 4 months. You had me plan her baby shower while she carried your baby. Ryan stood now, hands raised like that would calm the storm. She was vulnerable. She was crying on the balcony and saying she was all alone. I didn't mean for it to happen. You have to believe me. I don't have to believe anything anymore. I stepped back, pulling a thick envelope from behind the lampstand. I'd stayed up all night printing every screenshot, every baby announcement photo Mia had ever posted, every text she'd sent me hinting at how grateful she was to have both of us in her life. I dropped the envelope in his lap. You want to know what that is? It's proof. Proof that I'm not crazy. That I didn't imagine this. That when this whole thing blows up in your face, because it will, you can't say it was just a misunderstanding. Ryan stared down at the envelope like it was ticking. What are you going to do? I looked him dead in the eyes. I'm going to walk away with dignity. I'm going to reclaim every single piece of myself you chipped away. And I'm going to make sure your child never has to hear the story from anyone else, because I will tell her someday. Not to poison her, but to protect her. From men like you. His eyes filled with panic. You can't tell her. You can't ruin my relationship with my daughter before it even starts. Oh, I smiled coldly, but you already did that. The moment you chose to cheat. The moment you chose Mia. He sat down hard, head in his hands, the weight of everything finally crashing in. I can't fix this, can I? No, I said softly. And you don't deserve to. He looked up, one last desperate glint in his eye. Can we still try therapy? Maybe we can work through it. There is no we, Ryan. I straightened, my voice like steel. You didn't just cheat on me. You rewrote our future behind my back. So now I'm writing my own. And you're not in it. I turned and walked to the door. This time I was the one leaving. Not confused. Not crying. Not broken. I was done. It's strange how people look at you once they know the truth. Some tilt their heads with pity, like you're a stray dog limping across the street. Some avoid your eyes altogether, pretending nothing happened. But the worst ones? They whisper, loud enough for you to hear, and smile like it's tea they earned the right to sip. That was the energy in the room when I walked into Nadia's kitchen a week later. It wasn't even my party this time, someone else was turning 30. But I had promised I'd come months ago, and I wasn't going to let other people's betrayal steal one more thing from me. I wore red. Not muted, not soft. Fire engine, lipstick-stained red. The kind of red that screams, I know who I am. I bled. And I'm still standing. Of course, the moment I walked in, it was like a scene from a movie. Conversations dipped, glasses paused mid-air, and all eyes quietly scanned for damage. But I smiled. I hugged the birthday girl. And then I looked up, and saw her. Mia. Across the room, holding a plate of mini quiches and rocking a tiny baby bump in a skin-tight lilac dress. She blinked, startled. Then smiled. That same sweet, fake smile that used to fool me. That used to warm me. Now? It just made my skin crawl. I didn't walk over. I didn't start drama. But she did. I was sipping sparkling water by the window when she approached. Alone. Hey, she said, like we were still best friends. I wasn't sure you'd come. I said I would, I replied coolly. She paused, rocking back on her heels. Zara. I'm not here to fight. I turned to face her. Good. Because I'm not here to forgive you, either. I know I messed up, she whispered, her voice trembling. But Ryan said things were already broken between you two. That you weren't happy. That you weren't trying anymore. And there it was. The second betrayal. The lie he fed her to justify the first. I clenched my jaw. So what? You just decided my unhappiness was your opportunity? Is that how friendship works for you? Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't plan it. It felt real. And when I found out I was pregnant. You hid it. 4 months, I cut in. While I was rubbing your swollen ankles and icing your cupcakes. While I was sitting in your nursery painting tiny giraffes on the wall. You let me do all that knowing the baby growing inside you belonged to my husband. Tears brimmed in her eyes. I was scared. No, Mia, I snapped. You were selfish. You weren't scared of hurting me. You were scared of losing him. The room had gone quieter again. People were watching, again. But I didn't care. Tell me something, I asked, voice soft but cutting. When you look at him now, do you see the man who cheated with you? Or the man who will cheat on you? She blinked rapidly, chest rising and falling fast. I don't know, she whispered. I nodded. That's what I thought. Then I stepped around her and walked away. And let me tell you something, that walk? That silent exit, with no tears and no drama? That was power. Because sometimes, revenge isn't yelling or slapping or exposing someone online. Sometimes, it's simply walking away with your dignity, and letting them sit in the mess they made. A few days later, I sat in a coffee shop alone, finally breathing. I wasn't checking my phone. I wasn't waiting for an apology that would never come. I was healing. The barista called out a name, not mine, but I looked up instinctively. And that's when I saw her. A woman at the counter, maybe late 40s, smiling at the cashier like she'd known him for years. She laughed loudly, then turned to go, and paused when she saw me. She looked familiar. Then she walked over, slow and certain. Zara, right? She asked kindly. I blinked. Yes. I'm Eva. I work with Ryan. Or, used to. I left the firm last year. Oh. Hi. I tried to smile politely. She sat down without asking, her eyes kind. I just wanted to say. I saw how hard you worked for that man. The events, the campaigns, the nights you waited for him to finish those calls. And I wanted you to hear this from someone outside the mess. I looked at her, uncertain. You were never the problem, sweetheart, she said gently. He was just too small for the life you were building. My throat tightened. She smiled. Don't let this chapter make you smaller. Grow bigger. And let him watch. Then she stood, nodded once, and walked out. And I sat there, staring at my cold coffee, smiling for the first time in days. Because sometimes healing comes from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, the real moral of the story isn't just about betrayal. 6 months later, I didn't recognize my own reflection, and for once, that was a good thing. The woman staring back at me in the mirror wasn't broken. She wasn't confused, or waiting for closure. She was whole. Fierce. Free. I had moved into a small but cozy apartment on the other side of town, one with yellow curtains and plants on every windowsill. It smelled like vanilla and new beginnings. I wasn't rushing to fix anything anymore. I was just living. And that felt like power. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks before my birthday. Ryan didn't fight it. He didn't beg or chase or even show up to court in person. He sent his signature through a lawyer. Just like he had sent his love, convenient, cold, and barely present. Funny how a man can burn down everything you built together and still act like you're the one who turned your back. But I didn't flinch. I signed the final papers with a calm hand and a grateful heart. Because this time, the ending was my choice. One afternoon, while sipping tea on my balcony, I got a message. From Nadia. She had been quiet, respectfully quiet, ever since the baby shower explosion. But her text was warm and cautious, just like her. Hey. No pressure. But I'd love to have you speak at the women's brunch next weekend. Theme is, rebuilding. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I smiled. And typed, I'm in. The room was full of women. Young ones, older ones, ones with babies on their hips and grief in their eyes. There was laughter and music and plates clinking, but beneath it all, a deep, raw energy. We had all been through something. When Nadia handed me the mic, my hands didn't shake. Not because I wasn't nervous, I was. But because I belonged there. I took a breath. And began. My name is Zara. And last year, I thought I had everything, a husband, a best friend, and a picture-perfect life. Some women in the audience nodded knowingly. But in one moment, at a baby shower, of all places, it all crumbled. My husband made a careless comment that revealed something I wasn't supposed to hear. That the baby my best friend was celebrating wasn't her husband's. It was mine. A soft gasp. A few murmurs. No judgment, just recognition. I won't lie. I fell apart. I screamed. I cried into my pillow so hard, I woke up with bruises on my cheek from my own fist. I questioned everything, my worth, my memories, my sanity. I paused. My eyes found a woman in the front row, blinking fast. But what I've learned, and what I want to leave you with, is this. People may break your heart, but they can't break your spirit without your permission. Pain is heavy. But peace? Peace is lighter than silence. And once I stopped begging for answers, I finally heard myself. Applause rose slowly, then fully. Not polite claps, real ones. From the gut. Afterward, women came up to me. One had just left a 10-year relationship. Another had caught her sister with her fiancé. One whispered, "I'm pregnant," and he left. We cried. We hugged. We healed, together. That night, I walked home under a navy blue sky, stars blinking softly. I wasn't walking toward anyone. Not chasing anyone. Just walking with myself. And for once, that was enough. A week later, I passed Ryan. At the grocery store, of all places. In the cereal aisle. He looked tired. Older. Less put together. He froze when he saw me. I didn't. Zara, he said, like the name still belonged to him. Ryan, I replied calmly. There was silence. Then, "You look good." I nodded. "I am good." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I didn't mean for things to." "I know," I interrupted. "You never mean for things to happen, Ryan. They just happen around you. And people get hurt." He looked down, ashamed. "I hope you're happy," I said, honestly. "I thought I would be," he murmured. That told me everything I needed to know. I smiled gently, and walked away.